Need more water. 2 seconds. Now we are ready. I am obsessed with iDubbbz and Anisa. I love this drama because it's not happening in my life. Right?
Do any of you who follow...
That was weird. Let's see.
Do any of you who follow the iDubbbz stuff know what this person's talking about? Does Ethan know that Ian is planning on eating his snake shed while he drinks yogurt out of a bag?
Oh, I've seen that. I've already seen that. Gross.
This is my favorite types of content to make, period, point blank. Period.
Yeah. Before this happened, right before the show, leading up to it, we were all like, today is our biggest party.
My original last name is Washburn. My new last name is Jama. That's my wife's last name.
Odd and thank you very much for making this. Great job.
I would recommend that he finds God.
Our silence means something.
2025 has to have been the worst year of iDubbbz's life, by far. Losing his fans that have stuck by him ever since his reputation started to slip. Losing somebody that considered him a friend for over a decade. And, of course, losing his boxing event, Creator Clash. And it all stems down to one deep-rooted issue, his wife.
God! What's it, I think his name's like, or is that Harry Potter, but like Wormtail. Who's the, Lord of the Rings? Two Towers King guy. I want to know what was that character's name? I mean, I know I'm fucking it up, dude. Lord of the Rings. Wormtongue. That was his name. Well, it doesn't really matter. This is the image I wanted, I guess. You've wanted to see Anisa and iDubbbz. Here it is. Right here. Anisa and iDubbbz. It's Anisa and iDubbbz.
In a previous video, we talked about how iDubbbz and Ethan Klein used to be a couple of besties. But now we get to see what kind of a snake iDubbbz was the whole time. Even though Creator Clash 2 was a complete and utter failure, going $250,000 in the red when all was said and done, on January 29th of this year, the unthinkable happened. And they announced on Instagram that Creator Clash 3 was on its way. Remember, this was supposedly a charity event where in the last one, absolutely no money went to charity whatsoever. All because Anisa wanted to host a $500,000 gala. But don't worry.
All that was so that she could feel special.
Because we're gonna get there. Being iDubbbz's friend, Ethan Klein had promoted the 2 previous boxing events heavily, and was one of the biggest factors.
The thing is that she was like a streamer groupie is what she wanted to be. She was a streamer groupie, and then she landed iDubbbz, who'd never had a girlfriend before, so he was easy. He was a mark. And he fell for it. He's fallen into the long con. I guarantee she's cheated on him multiple times. Or they have like an ocean relationship now because she wants to fuck other people. There's absolutely no way she doesn't completely control every aspect of his life.
In the success of the first one,
the way that teams brainstorm is broken. They're working on a whiteboard that's disconnected from the rest of their work.
Fuck off!
And let's be real, nothing could stop Anisa from letting her ego take over and ruining the second one. But for all the good that Ethan Klein had done for the Jomas, he then made the cardinal sin of bad-mouthing Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker is one of the many, many men that Anisa openly has a crush on, even going as far as to brazenly walk into his home without her wedding ring on.
Really?
Or even one of those silicone ones. Ethan Klein and Hassan Piker used to run the world's worst podcast together called Leftovers, until it got canceled in November of 2023 due to irreconcilable differences. And on January 31st, 2025, Ethan Klein uploaded a video called Content Nuke Hassan Piker. In this video, Ethan brought up one of the real reasons why they broke up, and that was because he truly believed that Hassan was putting on the
Ugh.
of a moderate in order to funnel people into extremist ideologies.
Was Hassan presenting a Trojan horse to my community, where he was just a left-leaning Democrat like myself, and as he said in the previous video, was funneling them into radicalization and turning them against me?
Liberals are some of the easiest to manipulate people on the fucking planet, dude.
Was I being manipulated this whole time?
That was my fear anyway. Regardless of his true beliefs, that broke my trust in him, and I pretty much ended the show immediately. And I felt guilty for my participation in mainstreaming Hassan. And for that, I apologize. Over the past year since the show ended, I continue to watch Hassan platform, promote, and propagandize terrorist organizations. And every time it happened on Twitch, I would say, man, this time surely he went too far, and someone's got to do something. But as the time went on, nothing happened, and his views got more and more radical and more disturbing.
But it wasn't just Hassan that was brought up, because Ethan Klein also mentioned Frogan. Frogan is another live streamer who most people that know her name only know it because she had wished that all American soldiers coming home would get PTSD on her stream.
I have no pity at all for any fucking soldiers. I will never have any fucking pity for any fucking soldiers. U.S. military? Boo fucking who? I hope you get PTSD.
Besides that clip, the rest of Frogan's fame is straight up because she was a Discord mod for Hassan. Oh, and her thing on stream is that for the low price of $10, she will eat a hard-boiled egg on stream. Even DSP has better food goals.
A lot of
For
streamer on
$10?
Twitch donated
To eat an egg?
$10,000
I do that
to
for
the
free.
Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. That's a wonderful thing to do, right? No, not good enough for Frogan.
So I personally donated 10K.
It's a lot.
Because I think it is worthwhile. And if you guys got some extra bread, I would recommend you donate. But I won't throw it on you know what I mean? No thanks. And some people are going to say that, you know what I mean? That's why it's the difference.
This is a cracker take. Keep your fucking money. Keep your $10,000. Keep your little chump change. Like, what do you want? Do you want me to say like congratulations?
Imagine being Frogan, a leftist living in LA in comfort, begging for her rent.
Aren't these people? Isn't she white? Like, what she said? What a cracker take is that? I don't know what that means. Is that like a cracker take? Is that? I don't know.
Money on stream and telling displaced and famished Palestinian children, no kids, you need to give that 10,000 back. Ludwig didn't pass my purity test.
Keep your fucking money.
Overall, I think the video was a little longer than it needed to be. But again, I think it got some of the biggest points on who Hassan really is out there. But the Joma family didn't like it one bit, and they would let people know. Did any of y'all watch the Content Nuke by H3? Do you think it is a worthy homage to the Content Cop series? We ain't talking about any of that. I wasn't trying to cause trouble, sorry. No worries, just a sensitive topic is all. Thanks, Aunt. That's right, Anisa Joma behind the scenes did not like that video one bit and wanted to get her revenge. But there's a problem with that. Anisa is somebody that is completely unable to make it on her own, and she needed to latch herself onto a bigger content creator
Streamer groupie
in order to get any sort of notoriety. Despite having over 200,000 followers built up on Twitch, half of the recorded streams she still has up could not break 150 views. She's had one single month since June of 2022 where she's gained more followers than she's lost. And if you check out her YouTube, it's even worse, with her losing subs every month consistently for the past 3 years.
Damn.
Coincidentally, she also hasn't uploaded a single video in 4. Anisa, despite seeing herself as the main character on the planet Earth, on her own has absolutely no clout. And if she was to do a stream or even a full-on video on her channel rushing to Hassan's aid, absolutely nothing would come from it.
Yeah.
And at best, that thing might get 40,000 views at most, with most of them memeing on her in the comments. It gets even crazier how much she really wanted to rush to Hassan's defense because, in reality,
How
the
does he know
content
this?
nuke didn't even do that much. If you like Hassan, you're just gonna brush off the entire content nuke, and most likely not even watch it. And if you can't stand Hassan, you're probably going to agree with it.
Yeah, your opinion probably wouldn't even change on it. I don't know. Let's see what else we got. Huh. Give me a sec.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp.
Well, let's see
how I
what
keep track
Ethan's
of all my
take
tasks.
on
I start
we're
by
gonna commentary
brain
on
dumping everything
commentary.
I need to get done in a list view.
Pierce Morgan had Nick Fuentes on, and Nick is
It's
absolutely
47 minutes. Fuck that. Yeah, I don't know. Should we continue? We can continue watching that. It was pretty brutal. Hey, there's me. I mean, what should we look at? Hello, person. Hello, person watching. How are you? Thanks for joining their worst friends group. Lies in Deceit. I don't know. You let me know. What should we watch? True Animal of it's a classic. Classic. One's credibility. I don't know what that is. Mocked by Coding Jesus. I don't know. We're gonna do a refresh. I am not liking my recommends. Not sure. The Candace Owens and Erica Kirk problem is so
This
okay.
Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, and now Erica Kirk herself situation, it is spiraling out of control. And it is very much threatening to cause a forever divide in the Republican Party. Because just a quick recap for those of you that are joining us on chapter 73 of this whole situation, Candace Owens has been insisting that there is more to the story of Charlie Kirk's assassination than what we've been told. And over time, she's kind of cycled through pretty much everyone either accusing them or kind of alluding or going something doesn't smell right involved in Charlie Kirk's death. Right? And
I'm just gonna say I've never seen someone have such an amazing glow up after their spouse is murdered. I'm just gonna say.
He has a particular fixation on
Erica.
the French as well as Egyptian planes following Erica Kirk for years. But most recently, she's taken aim at Charlie's own organization, Turning Point USA, saying that she thinks that Charlie was betrayed by those close to him. And we've talked about this fairly extensively. Some people just kind of amuse.
I mean, I have absolutely nothing to base it on, but I would not be shocked if there is hola, ¿cómo estás? If Erica Kirk like it was all planned. I don't know, man. She's not a good actress. I don't think she is. It was pretty rough.
By the drama, others maybe realizing how important this is as far as the Republican Party moving forward. Because Candace Owens isn't some random. Some people try to minimize her, but she's arguably one of the biggest podcasters in the world. But with all this, the big thing to note is that Candace has been speculating and spreading these conspiracy theories for months. And while there hasn't been much reaction from the organization itself until recently, yesterday at an interview with Fox News, you had Erica Kirk finally responding, at least vaguely.
I do not have time to address the noise. My silence does not mean that I am complacent. Come after me.
Man, her husband getting shot in the neck was the best thing that ever happened to her.
Call me names. I don't care. Call me what you want. Go down that rabbit hole. whatever. When you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and
Donde
thousands
vives? En Ecuador.
of dollars every single episode, going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this. No, this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a mind virus. This is a duty to my husband, and it's an absolute honor, and I will never back down. And so my message to them is to stop. To stop.
And she echoed that sentiment in an interview with CBS,
Stop.
except this time directly referencing Candace herself.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
This is your brain when you're struggling
This
to
is your brain.
focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone. Like,
Stop.
You see the way that that's some acting right there.
Putting these lies out into the world right now. Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
And so, as you might expect, Candace appeared to take all of this very personally, and in her latest video, she absolutely slammed Erica's response as overly emotional.
Whoa! Whoa! Erica Kirk shuts down the No, she didn't even respond to one of the conspiracies. She gave us emotion. She gave us emotion. She said, I'm a mother, I am a wife, and we never asked about whether she was a mother or wife. We want to know if she is a CEO and a chairman. And a CEO and a chairman has to compartmentalize. A CEO, okay, does not get to respond and say, that's my family. If you really care about your team, answer the questions, okay? Just demystify the entire event. Answer, come out, sit down, answer the questions so people don't think Turning Point USA looks so suspicious. Don't try to like mom the organization and say, well, mother's upset because people are coming after her kids and all of this subsidy.
This world is insane. Just gonna say it. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, you too?
Multi-million-dollar subsidiaries. That's my children.
Right, you had Candace pushing back hard on the idea that Erica doesn't have time for the noise, highlighting every stop on her recent press tour, as well as her appearance at the swearing-in ceremony for the new ambassador to India.
Erica Kirk has time. She has time. It is just what she means to say, not her priority, which is you are allowed to prioritize things in your own life. But this is not a matter of time constraint.
Right.
It is not her priority to respond to the majority, actually. The majority of people think of this as BS. The majority of people think Turning Point is acting suspicious.
Candace also addressed Erica's accusations of people that are making money from spreading these conspiracy theories online.
So since Charlie has died, that organization...
But then next up today, we've got to talk about how Trump, he's calling affordability a hoax, which, by the way, is also what he called the Epstein files. But he's doing that as people have been increasingly turning to GoFundMe to just pay for their basic needs. Right? You may not know this, but GoFundMe actually does a year in help. With, another way to think of it is like Spotify rap.
Do they really? At work right now, but I'll pull up my crew for your next stream. Add me on Discord.
But for donations on the platform.
All right.
Well, it's meant to kind of uplift you about all the millions of donations that helped worthy causes. Right? Highlight all the people that stepped up during natural disasters and other times in need. It's also kind of, I think the technical term is a fucking bummer to see how many people needed help at all. Right? Because essential expense fundraising for things like rent and utilities, it went up 20% this year. And when you look at the fastest growing categories this year, it was charity followed by just monthly bills. And again, while you've got Trump out there saying, hey, affordability is a hoax, everyone's doing great. More fundraisers were started for food banks and any other community-related cause.
The country will tank before Trump will admit there's a recession.
And well, yes.
And then he's going to brag about how he's the only president in history that, or like, you'll say some stupid shit about how he was one of the only presidents to ever be in office without there being a recession. But like he will never admit that the economy's tanking.
It is obviously a good thing that there are people out there that are willing to help, that they are helping. It points to the fact that a ton of people are just struggling to make ends meet. Right? GoFundMe shouldn't be the standard social safety net. But between the end of October and the start of November, there was a 6x increase in food-related fundraisers on the site, and that obviously lines up with the government shutdown pausing SNAP and government employees missing paychecks. And you know, also with this, I'll say, well, Donald Trump is obviously getting the spotlight here because he's talking about affordability being a hoax, and he is the president of the United States who really talked about trying to help people afford things and pay for things. I do want to note it's not exclusively a Trump thing. Essential need fundraisers, they've been increasing over the last 3 years on GoFundMe in all the country's major English-speaking markets. But
Yeah,
also,
it's not
yes, we
good.
can't let this administration off the hook. Affordability is a major issue right now. And in fact, a recent Politico poll found that just nearly half of all Americans find that groceries, utilities, healthcare, housing, and transportation are difficult to afford. And roughly a quarter of Americans skipped either a medical checkup or prescription dose in the last 2 years because of costs. And this is touching so many different facets of life. I mean, childcare costs are up 30% since 2020. And the list of things being impacted, it just goes on and on. Yet we have a president who yesterday, I mean, we talked about it, said that the whole affordability thing is a Democratic hoax.
But they have a new word. You know, they always have a hoax. The new word is affordability.
Right, which, you know, that would be an ignorant, stupid statement on its own, but it is extra ignorant and extra stupid because that is literally how we kicked off a whole tour about affordability. And then, you know, connecting this back to the GoFundMe news, the most used words in fundraiser descriptions, it included work, home.
Ciao.
Bill,
Gracias.
food. So, you know, that gives you a sense that affordability is in fact a very real issue. And with that, you had GoFundMe CEO even telling the AP that people needing to ask for help on rent and other bills, that's a function of what's going on in these economies. And what is interesting is that people do step up and support folks in those situations.
Oh, yeah,
And
it's
there, you know,
great.
it speaks to not only are there people that want to try and help, but also because there is no hope or trust that anything's going to come from the government. You know, with this, and obviously this part is now my opinion, this is not how a fucking government or society should operate. If times are hard or tragedy strikes, you shouldn't have to hope that Mr. Beast is gonna, you know, put you in a fucking game so you can put a roof over your head or put some food in your mouth. You know,
No shit. How dystopian is that? That now you're like, the American dream now is to get a lottery ticket, get a winning lottery ticket, dude. Win the Powerball.
Well, over the years, I've gone after Democrats and Republicans for not doing enough to address these issues. It feels like we are at a time where we have an administration that is almost purposefully trying to exacerbate these problems. And I'm often just left wondering, I don't know if some of the people that are supporting him that are being negatively impacted have like a humiliation or a submission kink, but what is it going to take? You've got so many of these grifters saying, hey, everyone's doing great. Look at the stock market, which if you actually look into, at least for the United States, is a big bet on AI.
The stock market doesn't even represent the American economy anymore. It only represents a small proportion. That's what happens when you funnel all the wealth to the top.
Outside of AI, like there's been very little growth. The idea that that's an indicator that most Americans are doing well is crazy. That's great for people like me that have income, I can move around and stuff like that, but not the average everyday person that has nothing or a few $100s in their bank account. But anyway, I'll leave my ranting for my crashing out podcast. And for here and now, I'll say, what are your thoughts, opinions, and reactions to what we're seeing around affordability and what the president is or is not doing about it right now? But then moving on to some quick international news, the U.S. Navy are just a bunch of pirates. Right, that is what the Venezuelan government, as well as a lot of people online, are saying right now after U.S. ships seized an oil tanker off the Venezuelan coast. And the U.S. government, they're not being shy about it, with the Department of Defense quickly releasing footage of the incident showing a helicopter landing troops onto the tanker to take it over. And actually, right before that was made public, you had Trump delivering the news himself.
We've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela.
I don't think he's going to make it through this term. I genuinely think he's going to die. I think he will die before the term's over, because I feel like there's just already a massive difference in his demeanor than just from the start of the year. I mean, the presidency's obviously the hardest job in the world, but dude's almost 80. I don't think he's going to survive.
Largest one ever seized, actually.
But really, that was all we knew.
That'll be an interesting day.
Because they didn't give a real reason as to why this tanker was seized. They just said it was seized for a very good reason. And while, as I was recording this for you, the administration came out to try to give out more information, saying this tanker was targeted for transporting oil between Venezuela and Iran, either way, the initial lack of transparency, it led to a lot of questions and demands for answers. And among those questions was, what exactly is going to be done with the oil, to which Trump said that the U.S. will probably just keep it. And then as far as, well, what's the international reaction going to be? You had Cuba and Iran calling it piracy, and,
of course
Russian officials, they used the incident to reiterate their support for Venezuela and said, I really hope that the United States, although they consider themselves entitled to conduct such operations, will somehow explain, out of respect for other members of the world community, which facts led them to take such actions. Which, really quick, I'm not gonna defend Trump's government here, but for Russia to still be mid-prolonged invasion of Ukraine going like, hey, you gotta, seems really uncool and unwarranted.
I also thought that response was pretty tame.
Is insane. It's like if Diddy released a statement being anti-freak-off and anti-assault, right? And all of this, it's happening as you had people pointing out that just a month ago, Iran did a similar operation and the U.S. denounced that, saying Iran's use of military forces to conduct an armed boarding and seizure of a commercial vessel in international waters constitutes a blatant violation of international law, undermining freedom of navigation and the free flow of commerce.
So
we
just
call
did the same
on
thing.
Iran to articulate to the international community the legal basis for its action, which obviously made a lot of people feel like Trump was being a bit hypocritical here, since he was willing to recognize the U.S.'s authority to enforce its own laws, but not Iran's to enforce theirs. But also, seeing Trump do this, it's not the most surprising thing, because, I mean, we even just recently heard Trump refusing to rule out a ground invasion of Venezuela. Also with this, as far as
That
the
would be
oil
crazy,
itself,
man.
the
If
trade
we did
itself,
a
you
if
get
we did a
many
ground
things, a chilling
invasion,
message to companies looking
that'd be
to export
insane.
crude Venezuelan oil, especially because this Trump administration just said this afternoon that it was willing to seize even more tankers if they were allegedly involved in breaking sanctions. We're saying it also might have a small ripple for U.S. oil, and that is because despite tensions, Venezuela is a founding member of OPEC and sends us 132,000 barrels of oil a day, which may change because of all this. For now, we'll have to wait to see what further fallout there.
Is that going to increase? I mean, will they stop? Will OPEC stop sending oil to the U.S.? I mean, obviously that'll fucking increase gas prices for everyone.
Is, and if there's continued escalation. But then, next up today, we gotta talk about Ice Barbie Kristi Noem. Because for the first time since she was confirmed as the head of Homeland Security, she had to stand in front of Congress today for just a beating. Going into this, it initially looked like she might be on shaky ground, not because of the opposition from Democrats, but because her own boss. Right, recently it's been reported that Donald Trump's been considering replacing Noem with someone else as early as January. One official even saying that she was on very thin ice, saying that Stephen Miller was leading the charge and that he and others were just frustrated with her because she wasn't building new detention centers fast enough. And then you pair that with
concentration camps, you mean? Concentration camps. They can't, they're having a hard time meeting their quota, yet they're going to start building camps. For what?
reportedly several governors calling Trump to voice complaints about Noem's handling of FEMA and disaster relief funds. But then yesterday you had Trump himself dispelling those rumors.
I read a story recently. I'm unhappy with Kristi. I'm so happy with it. I mean, we have a closed border. We have a border that's the best border in the history of our country. Why would I be unhappy? She's fantastic, actually.
And so when Noem went into the House committee today,
all right,
she had
it's
the
fucking
president's endorsement,
bizarro.
but that also didn't stop protesters from bursting in.
I'm very privileged and honored today to have my family with me. I'd like to introduce them to you.
And in case you're wondering, they are yelling, "The power of Christ compels you," because they think she's the devil. But anyway, when she actually started getting questioned by lawmakers, the Democrats weren't much friendlier than the protesters.
You have misused resources appropriated by Congress. You've engaged in unethical behavior. You have repeatedly made false and misleading statements to Congress and to
Yeah, this is just some fucking pandering bullshit.
press, and you've undermined the separation of powers and disregarded the role of Congress and the courts. Your options are limited. Either you're going to resign, Trump's going to fire you, or you will be impeached.
And with that, Delia Ramirez, who you just heard, is now pressing the House Judiciary Committee to begin impeachment hearings into Noem. Right? So you have that as Democrats have also filed articles of impeachment against Health Secretary RFK Jr. and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in the past week as well. But as for Noem specifically, the alleged unethical conduct, it stems from reports that her DHS awarded grant money to a firm that she has ties with, as well as the Coast Guard spending $172 million to buy 2 private jets for her. Not to mention, she allegedly lied to Congress and ignored the courts. And
How is this not fucking theft?
then, just a lot.
In a moment, Todd's mom will read her son's internet browsing history.
What?
ExpressVPN apps keep your...
Going on, Congressman Daniel Goldman pressed her on yet another alleged illegal matter.
Immigrants with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country.
It's a lawful platform.
Okay, so if your department then deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law, correct?
Joe Biden left us with.
I'm not asking about Joe Biden. I'm asking you a specific question. I'm asking you.
Asylum applications.
Why are you filibustering? Why can't you answer the question? It's a simple
Yes or
question.
no? Yes or no?
If your department
and your secretary
deports
did not
anyone
follow the law,
with an ongoing
applications
asylum application,
Quit stalling. Yes or no?
you are not following the law. Don't tell us to change the law. If you don't like the asylum system, you change the asylum law.
Well, with this, unfortunately, the grilling got cut short because Noam left the hearing early. Her department, they're in some hot water outside of the House chamber as well. Because in case after case, federal judges have been chastising ICE agents for abusing their power. So, I mean, for example, in Oregon, there's a law that used to ban creating a loud or unusual noise, noxious odor, or other nuisance on federal property. But that was recently broadened to include areas outside federal property that affects, threatens, or endangers federal property or persons on federal property. And so as a result, federal agents have arrested or threatened to arrest protesters on a sidewalk outside an ICE detention facility who were using a megaphone. And that then led to a lawsuit, and now a judge has temporarily barred the White House from enforcing that law outside of the facility while the case proceeds. And understand, that's not the first alleged First Amendment violation committed by federal authorities.
Yeah.
There's also a situation with a guy who was arrested after playing the Star Wars Imperial March theme at National Guard members in DC, which, you know, excuse my language, what a little bitch you have to be to arrest that guy. Oh, did the song hurt your feelings? Meanwhile, as the holidays approach, you've seen some churches altering their traditional nativity scenes to make a similar statement. And so, for example, there's one in Boston that removed Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus, and in their place there was a sign reading ICE was here. Right, and that was something that ICE Director Todd Lyons clutched pearls about in her statement. And so, for example,
That's a good statement.
Arrest that guy. Oh, did the song hurt your feelings? Meanwhile, as the holidays approach, you've seen some churches altering their traditional nativity scenes to make a similar statement. And so, for example, there's one in Boston that removed Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus, and in their place there was a sign reading ICE was here. Right, and that was something that ICE Director Todd Lyons clutched pearls about and called absolutely abhorrent, saying that it adds to a dangerous narrative responsible for a more than 1,150% increase in assaults on ICE
Fuck off,
officers.
Todd.
But a big counterpoint you've seen there is many have said what's really driving anti-ICE narratives are the actions of ICE itself. With that in mind, there's a particular example that's been grabbing a lot of attention right now because it's just so shocking. Or with that being the case of this young man, a U.S. citizen, who city leaders in Minneapolis say was arrested by ICE for no other reason than he looked Somali.
I was even outside for mere seconds before I seen a masked person running at me full speed. He tackled me, pushed me inside the restaurant, like as you can see in the video. I told him I'm a U.S. citizen, what is going on? He didn't seem to care. He dragged me outside through the snow while I was handcuffed, restrained, helpless, and he pushed me to the ground, and he put me in a chokehold.
With him saying that he offered to show them his digital passport on his phone, but they declined, and so he offered to provide his name and date of birth, but they declined again. And then with that, adding that after about an hour, they put him in the car and they drove off.
So after I arrived at the facility,
it's
they
fascism.
parked up, the gate was closed, and they made me step outside in the snow while it was snowing, and they said we have to stay in your face or we're not gonna let you inside the car. So I had no choice. I let them stare in my face. I was so cold. I guess the face thing, I guess it didn't work.
With him then, after that, saying that they brought him inside the facility and kept him there for another 20 or 30 minutes, telling him there was no medical aid available, even though his hands were numb and his back hurt. And then eventually, someone looked at his passport, took his fingerprints, and let him go. But
I asked them, can you take me back to where you picked me up from? They said, no, you have to walk in the snow.
Luckily, he said eventually his parents were able to pick him up, but he stressed that, this whole thing, it was outrageous, not just because he's a citizen, but because
Ridiculous.
they'll do this to him. Imagine what they're doing to people with even fewer rights. And in fact, he even had the Minneapolis police chief saying this to him at a press conference.
I apologize that this happened.
Well, I'm glad that the police chief is saying something. That's just so fucked up. I don't know. I mean, is the U.S. fully fascist? I don't know. What is this? This is Philip DeFranco.
To you in my city with people wearing vests that say police. That's embarrassing.
But that, my friend...
I mean, like I said, I don't know if I'd consider it fascism and full-blown, man, but it's getting harder and harder to defend. I mean, when you have guys that are literally running around with fucking masks, man, I mean, that's hard to defend. Very hard to defend that guy. It's fucked up. I mean, I don't know what else has to you got to spell it out. Let's see what the next thing
past life you had will shock you.
In past life, you were poisoned by your own sister in the 1800s.
Let's see here. iDubbbz claiming that he never actually liked the podcast, and he hated coming on, and that I have no.
Oh, this is a while ago.
Friends, Hila.
Interesting.
How long ago was it when you realized you and Ethan weren't ever close friends, but how long ago was it when you realized that he wasn't a real friend and it was just about content for him?
What?
I don't know, man. I feel like Ethan kind of took a big hit for you.
I mean, that's always been the case. Like, you're friendly to do content together, but like I didn't like the way that he was doing his fucking show. Like, I didn't like that shit. I didn't like that he brought on Dax Flame.
Bro, he's reaching back to Dax Flame.
Who's Dax Flame?
Who I kind of brought on.
Oh man, this guy. Ethan?
I was not interested in Dax Flame at all.
Which
I
guy?
brought him on as a
Ethan or iDubbbz? I don't know, dude. I like the drama. I like looking at it from outside.
favorite Ian to help promote the show that they were working on together. How long ago was that Dax Flame? You've been on the show like 3 times since then. You never said shit about it, coward. Dumbass, freak, loser, idiot.
Yeah.
By the way, Dax Flame now is like blowing up on Instagram
very
Reels.
funny.
Yeah.
He's doing great now that he shed his fucking iDubbbz
I
skin.
feel like he finally found his calling.
I'm really So when I was talking to Bo Burnham,
I'm gonna watch
he was like,
next. Let's watch this. This is the in New York, concrete jungles where dreams are. Yeah, that guy.
Joshua Block. If you don't already know him, you'd be forgiven for thinking he just escaped from a mental asylum. However, he's actually a very popular content creator, with his World of T-Shirts TikTok account boasting 2.6 million followers. A man of many talents, he solidified his standing in the public consciousness through hard work and shrewd hustling. At least that's probably what he believes. The truth is that Joshua may be the only person who takes himself even slightly seriously. Ever since his unorthodox jump to stardom, he's worked overtime to erode every bit of goodwill his initial fans may have had for him, be it due to his violent outburst against a
what happened? Oh wait,
fish. The fact that many people take issue
was that
with
him stomping on a fish?
fans may have had for him, be it due to his violent outburst against a fish, the fact that many people take issue with him charging fans for photos, or having a smidge too much love for the bottle. This has resulted in him securing an audience hell-bent on seeing him completely self-destruct. But how did it come to this? What's the story behind the downfall of TikTok's newest lolcow?
Do you guys know any locales that we can watch? Anything like that? Because I'm new to the world of locales. I didn't know anything about locales until recently. Shout out to Turkey Tom. Go give Turkey Tom a subscribe. His stuff is really good. Why am I obsessed? It's fascinating shit just to kind of see. It's fascinating stuff, the drama. I don't know, there's probably a delay. I know there's a delay, but yeah. So sorry about that.
If you're one to believe websites like Wikitubia and Know Your Meme, you'll find that Joshua had uploaded his first ever video on September 22nd, 2020. And in fact, you'll see this repeated
in autistic thing t-shirts?
Multiple other places. But the story of Joshua and his channel go back further than that, all the way back to June of 2019, when the then 17-year-old first started uploading videos. For a while, he would continue uploading them to minimal views, doing so simply for fun, until he finally got his big break in October of that year, which was a video of him eating crickets.
Yo, exotic.
What the fuck?
Food check.
Oh god!
It was with this initial success that the starstruck Joshua began to take TikTok much more seriously. You see, ever since he was rather young, Josh had always dreamed of being self-employed, and he realized that TikTok was his golden ticket to boss mode. He would go on to do everything in his power to capitalize on this in the short term, to very mixed success, with a lot of his videos from then to September 2020 getting 4-digit views. But despite the low amount of attention, the few popular uploads he did have would be enough for him to slowly build a niche community, drawn to the channel by his bizarre behavior. The best example of this is definitely his lip sync videos, which were some of his most popular content at the time. Take this one, in which he mouths the lyrics of My Heart Will Go On by...
Wait, there's something in the background. It's like Everlong.
Celine Dion. Except, mouthing may not be the right term here, as a more apt description might be that he's flapping his jaw like an upside-down trash can in rhythm to the song's lyrics. Or take this example, where he laments the terribleness of the year 2020 by lip-syncing Happy New Year by...
Man, do you remember when we thought that 2020 was a shitty year? I remember that.
Studio 99. Both of these demonstrate a rather peculiar quality of Josh, one that could be argued
God bless you, man. Bye-bye. No, bye-bye. Thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate it.
To have been the initial thing that drew people in. His distinct lack of facial expressions. In the second video, despite talking about the
yeah, that's like dead face right there.
Death of someone important enough to him to make a whole TikTok out of it, he remains completely deadpan, with his eyes barely even moving throughout. It didn't take a genius to understand that there was something special about Josh. From his
I knew it. This is the Everlong in the background. You're using like a 8-bit Everlong.
Odd mannerisms to his very stilted delivery. This resulted in most of the growing fan base being composed of people who just made fun of him, seeing him in the same light as any other TikTok lolcow. But that was all Josh needed. And as his notoriety slowly increased, his videos would start getting a fair bit more views, with numerous uploads getting in excess of 100k hits, and some of them even got 200k. Staying true to his form, these were extremely
That's Everlong! That's Everlong, Turkey Tom! I know it. I hear it. Don't think you're getting away with that shit.
varied. Everything from videos about the pandemic to random goofs to even more lip syncs. Of course, while it's easy for us to see that his main draw was the fact he was basically a laughingstock, it doesn't really seem Josh had caught on to that fact, because as he became more and more popular, he began looking for other avenues of potential growth. This would lead to him creating a YouTube channel by the name of World of Interviews on April 8th, 2020. Nothing's really known about this channel, as the only things you'll find on it are 2 videos with our titular hero. One of them is a short where he introduces us to what the channel is all about.
Welcome to World of Interviews, a YouTube channel where we do podcast interviews with famous TikTokers.
Welcome to my channel, guys. I really appreciate everyone watching me.
Discover your favorite celebrities today.
The second video is a 5-minute interview
is it
with
a
the man
bit?
himself,
Or is he
conducted by
really-
some random person who I haven't actually found anything about at all. The video reveals some interesting facts. For one, Josh shares with us that he had first downloaded the TikTok app in 2019 and that he had started uploading on it around August. He mentions how by September he fell in love with TikTok, and by October he became TikTok famous in his own words. He also went on to share with us that he had 240,000 followers at this point in time. He then says he's in the top 10,000 on famous birthdays, which, as far as I can tell, is correct.
What famous birthdays? What's that mean?
When
What is
asked
that?
what exactly he owes this success to, he credits the fact that his uploads tend to be varied, as opposed to, you know, the actual reason people were watching him, which seems to be completely over his head.
I do variety videos.
He's a little cow.
Most people on the app only stick to one thing.
Throughout the interview, he presents this YouTube channel as a guaranteed cash cow, planning to use his TikTok success and the success of other large TikTok creators he would interview to launch his YouTube channel into orbit. There wasn't much more to the interview besides the fact he once again mentions how he's still in high school at this point. For context, he was born August 7th, 2001, which would have made him 18 years old. We'll get deeper into the implications of this a bit later, but keep that tucked in your noggin. This concludes with a few more TikToks made by Joshua, which are about the same quality as you would expect, with his signature stilted delivery. Overall, the whole video was pretty boring, which is enough of an explanation for why it never
Yeah, I only know this guy from in New York. That's all I know this guy from. So a lot of this is new to me.
never really took off. Besides being confused on whether the interview was shot by Joshua or the interviewer, most people were far more interested in the mysterious figure standing in Joshua's doorway in the first half of the video. Questions about it were completely unanswered for
what?
On whether the interview was shot by Joshua, quality as you would expect, with his signature stilted delivery. Overall, the whole video was pretty boring, which is enough of an explanation for why it never really took off. Besides being confused on whether the interview was shot by Joshua or the interviewer, most people were far more interested in the mysterious figure standing in Joshua's doorway in the first half of
The fuck is that? Is that an arm?
video. Questions about it were completely unanswered for the time being. Regardless, the channel was very quickly abandoned for reasons that should be obvious enough to anyone. But that didn't mean he was done experimenting with content. In September of 2020, he would once again attempt to diversify his audience by creating a secondary TikTok account called the Starbucks Club, which in his own words was a channel meant purely for people who drank Starbucks, as explained thoroughly across the first 3 videos on his channel.
Nah, he's just trying to get all the white women. That's why he has that shit. I'm making a group just for Starbucks drinkers. White women? Blow my bowl out. Hold on. That's good enough. All right, that's good. So, I mean, dude, that's a big brain move right there, man. Not gonna lie. It's kind of smart. No guy, at least no straight guy, is gonna join that shit, right? You know that. This guy is easy pickings for this guy. That's a 5D chess move right there. Big brain. Respect.
While the channel definitely had more of that unique Joshua flair than the YouTube, it seems he would abandon it pretty quickly after not finding success. Joshua is extremely familiar with the sunk cost fallacy, but there was some good news. While the side projects were a miserable failure, the World of T-Shirts channel was doing pretty well, so Josh continued to upload on it consistently. But at this point, he was still quite unknown, with his fan base being very insulated. All of this would change on the hallowed day of September 22nd, with the upload of a quaint little video in which he mouths the lyrics to some parody song, staying true to form by looking like the main character of Ride to Hell Retribution. Now, this video is actually not that remarkable in terms of views, as at this point, he would be getting 200,000 views pretty regularly. But it does serve as a split-off point between obscurity and his sudden rise to fame. Because you see, at this point, the sky was the limit for our friend with the steely gaze, and he started uploading hundreds upon hundreds of videos to his TikTok channel every single month, with a number of them scoring very solid views, including this oddball duet where he humorously judges an obvious joke.
He wasn't blinking at all.
Point, he would be getting 200,000 views pretty regularly, but it does serve as a split-off point between obscurity and his sudden rise to fame. Because you see, at this point, the sky was the
628
limit for our friend with the steely gaze, and he started uploading hundreds upon hundreds of videos to his TikTok channel every single month, with a number of them scoring very solid views, including this oddball duet where he humorously judges an obvious joke TikTok. But the real difference came in September.
What, 15 seconds?
Ended.
When eyes were watering, bro. That's kind of...
He broke the 200,000 view roof he had been confined to for so long with an upload on the 2nd of October. This video was dedicated to enlightening his viewers about the facts that pandemics happen roughly every 100 years, listing a couple of plagues going about 300 years back, and managing to actually get 2 million views for this informative piece. Just a few days later, however, he would go on to beat this record with a video where he painted his tongue 2 different colors with the use of some gummies, hopefully explaining to us the entire process.
So these will change the color of your tongue permanently for weeks. We're gonna put these in my mouth and wait 10 minutes.
Look at those eyes. There you go, that's a better picture. I don't know, there's a whole lot going on there. I don't want to be mean to this guy, but, yeah.
We're gonna put these in my mouth and wait 10 minutes.
Okay. Good for you. Let's see. 10 minutes.
It's not coming off. Shit.
This video shattered his previous record from just a few days prior with 10 million views. His before insulated audience had now expanded, as millions of unaware and very confused normies were exposed to the world of t-shirts, expressing a mix of sheer befuddlement and amusement in the comments. With videos like these and many, many more, his whole channel exploded, getting 4 times the followers in October compared to what he got in September. He had become a veritable normie magnet, as his content became ever present on TikTok front pages. However, while all this success was
did you see that? Was that in reverse? Or was that a legitimate jump?
As his content became ever present on TikTok front pages. However, while all
that's in reverse, okay? I was gonna say, dude, I saw that shit and said, holy fuck, there's no way.
The success was certainly nothing to scoff at. This was merely a precursor for what was to come, as our eternally ambitious main hero would not be satisfied with just filming himself at home being utterly asinine. So at the tail end of 2020, he would dedicate his time into a slightly different kind of content, music. Josh announced his first song in November of 2020, set to be released on the 1st of December. He announced it in much the same way you would probably expect from him at this point, sounding perhaps even more deadpan than he usually does, which is pretty impressive.
I'm releasing a song on December 1st. It's very short, it's only about a minute long, but it's all about COVID. Since I have Select, it'll go to TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, and a whole lot of other platforms. Be ready, it'll be coming.
Indeed, Josh would grace us with the release of his song on Spotify, and frankly, it's a beauty. During the 47-second runtime, he reminds us of just how good he had it in 2019, and how as soon as we entered 2020, our whole world came crashing down.
I remember 2019, living our best lives. New Year's Eve came along, looking forward to 2020. It marked the new decade. Everything was fine till March. Toilet paper shortage, quarantine, masks, social distancing. No job, no school, no nothing. Lockdown, everything canceled. Oh no.
This artful piece would end up netting him around 65,000 listeners on Spotify. With that initial success, Josh saw there was a potential for his music. So only a month later, he announced a new song on the 31st of December.
Did he really say he saw potential in that?
While he danced joyfully to a small excerpt. As for the song itself, it would also be released on Spotify, and if you thought the last one was life-changing, then you're not prepared for what I'm about to show you. It was a love ballad dedicated to, as the name suggests, coffee and boba tea.
Wake up in the morning, throw some clothes on, check my phone, run out the door. Where do I go? Of course, to get some coffee and some boba tea.
I hear Latin influence.
The song would end up doing better numbers on Spotify, getting around 130,000 hits. Seeing the monumental success, Josh felt inclined to truly Spotify
That was short. I want to hear that again.
It was a love ballad dedicated to, as the name suggests, coffee and boba tea.
Wake up in the morning, throw some clothes on, check my phone, run out the door. Where do I go? Of course, to get some coffee and some boba tea.
The song would...
I say that's some reggaeton in there. It's pretty good.
End up doing better numbers on Spotify, getting around 130,000 hits. Seeing the monumental success, Josh felt inclined to truly capitalize. He created his own website, registering it under the domain worldoftshirts.com on the 1st of February, later being changed to worldoftshirts.ai. The website serves a few purposes, advertising his music and selling his merch, which contains various memes and in-jokes from his community. But it's at this point that Joshua shifts his TikTok content pretty much entirely, and on the 14th of March 2021, already a few months after his initial blow-up, he uploaded a video of himself standing in Times Square, loudly singing Empire State of Mind by Jay-Z, specifically the part sung by Alicia Keys, all while surrounded by a crowd of bemused onlookers.
In New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of, there's nothing you can't do, now you're in New York.
This got him over 30 million views, setting the stage for exactly the kind of content we would expect. He was no longer creating content from the confines of his home. Instead, he was making the exact same thing, but out on the streets of New York, which made it even funnier because you got to see bystanders in the background look at him like, what the f*** are you doing?
No, I just, you know, I have never really been to NYC. I've been outside of it and everything like that, but I mean, based on everything, all the people that I know from New York, this ain't shit. This is nothing out of the ordinary. They see something weirder than this every single day.
It's with this shift in location that our protagonist would reach the peak of popularity, gaining 640,000 followers in March alone. His videos were getting millions of views, and his streams were attended by tens of thousands of people. Well, it's hard to say if he made any money. It probably wasn't.
Those of you guys watching, make sure that you sign the petition for to end racism by giving Nick Fuentes Wingstop.
Nothing. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that this new style of content wouldn't just attract a lot of attention from online fans, but also people in real life.
Look and see if I can find that video. Hold on. I know I got it. I'm trying to see if I can find that video. I could be eloquent about it. I could say it's me and my witty sense of humor doing what I do. But you could also just say it's because I'm an idiot. And I am an idiot. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being an idiot every now and then. Well, I'm an idiot more than every now and then, but that's all right. That's all right. Let me see. I'm trying to find it. Give me a few more seconds. If I can't find it, then I'll give up. No. God damn it. Okay, well, I found the date of when I did it. I'm not seeing the vid. Oh, there it is.
In New York,
Yeah. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my drive real quick and download it, and I'll show you guys. It was in Chicago though. That was the thing. It wasn't in. Let me see if I can. Hold on. So here. Here, hold on. Hold on. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Quit rushing me. Quit rushing me, man. Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
In New York,
Yeah.
concrete jungle where dreams are made.
That was my attempt.
Want to meet him in public while he was filming. With such a recognizable appearance and cadence, he's pretty hard to miss.
Yeah.
Now, to most regular people, I'm sure the idea of constantly being harassed by fans doesn't sound that appealing, but for Josh, this was a catastrophe, one he wouldn't respond to in the healthiest manner. He would begin charging his fans $50 for the privilege of taking a photo with him, with multiple videos being released of him basically demanding money from fans. Of these, perhaps the most popular is a video of him in Central Park, where a fan pays him to sing a song, with Josh looking even more dead-eyed than usual.
Yeah, New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of.
That's
There's
awkward
nothing
as shit,
you can't
dude.
do. Now you're in New York.
The response to this was very mixed. While the YouTube video that first made this moment largely sided with Josh, there were other people in his own community who were baffled. This would culminate in his fans asking him why he charges people on a TikTok livestream. There, he would give a rather interesting response.
I charge my fans for photos because if I just take their picture, they're gonna get famous quickly for nothing.
No, they're
not. Of course, this is prerogative.
That's maybe it's the autism combined with the big ego is why it's like that.
To charge or not charge people for photos. I mean, if he tells them ahead of time, hey, you got to pay me to take a picture, and they don't want to do it, it's whatever. I'm just curious what this response even means. Like, if you want money, say because I want money. Instead, it's they'll get famous quickly for nothing. What does that mean? Despite this, he would actually catch some flack from his fans.
That's as an autist myself, I can explain. That means he thinks that he is so famous that someone taking a picture with him will make them famous, and he wants to get money from it. That's what that means, Tom. That's just how us autists think.
As many of them view this habit of his as proof that he only sees his fans as a source of income. People especially took issue with his comment about how he doesn't just want people blowing up in popularity for free, which they saw as him pulling up the ladder. That said, plenty of people still defend this practice, saying that part of why he likely does that is to dissuade random people from constantly approaching him. And the charging simply means that the only people he may get approached by are actual fans, at least in theory. It is worth noting he would later drop these prices, only charging $10 for pictures and $20 for videos. Of course, this didn't actually stop people from taking pictures and videos of him in creepshot fashion. If anything, this only further emboldened them to sneakily—
That's copyright infringement right there, dude. That's fucked. He's taking a video of him without paying? Straight to jail, believe it or not.
Try to video him and then upload those videos to their own TikToks, with some of these going downright viral. A TikTok user by the name of Fern would upload a video of Joshua walking down the street, making fun of his amusing stride. But none of this ever got in the way of his monumental rise in popularity. In fact, as time went on, it seems a lot of people did genuinely start to root for him beyond just treating him as a lolcow. Even if many of the fans were intent on making fun of him, no one really thought of him as like a negative guy or an evil person. He was just someone who was kind of silly and funny to watch. But his grandest moment was yet to come. It was a short while after the charging fans incident that he would orchestrate what many view as the high point of his entire career. On the 25th of May, 2021, just a few months after he had begun live streaming, he gathered his fans in Times Square for a unique event, when one of the billboards began to show an advertisement for his channel, while he called himself the King of the Concrete Jungle.
Dude is full of himself.
For anybody who's curious, a spot in Times Square could run you as little as $5,000 per day to as much as $50,000 per day, depending on the ad and the length. Around this time, he would also do a small collaboration with a sizable YouTube channel called Side Talk, which focuses on interviewing people they meet while walking the streets. During this video, Josh does another rendition of the song that propelled him to stardom, gives a spicy hot take about school lunches, and charges one of the people present $25 for a photo. Notably, the video also includes one of the first, if not the first, first use of a meme that will become rather popular on his channel, wherein he tells viewers that he's wearing Louis Vuitton because he was banned from Gucci.
He was
Overall,
banned from
this first
Gucci.
interview ended up being pretty successful, netting them 600,000 views and a pretty positive reception from commenters, who took the time to poke a little fun and also said that him only charging $25 was
Yeah, that's very kind of him to lower it down to 25.
a blessing. The interview was so successful that Side Talk made another one just a few weeks later, where Josh once again wowed the crowd with his on-screen presence, and when told that 6ix9ine claimed the title of King of New York, Josh bluntly asserts that he is in fact the true king.
What do you want to say to 6ix9ine right now? He claims to be the king of New York.
I'm the king of New York. 6ix9ine is not the king. I am. I'm out here with no security because security's for quitters. I'm Moneybag Josh.
Just like last time this one blew up, I'll be
Say what you will, man, but Josh wouldn't rat you out like 6ix9ine would.
It not as much. Following the success of these interviews, an unaffiliated song artist by the name of Felix Cartal would make the banned from the Gucci store meme into a song, which, in fairness to the artist, is miles better than anything Josh has ever produced. Overall, despite this early hiccup with charging fans money, he used his time in the spotlight pretty well. And while many people did view him as more of a laughingstock than genuine content creator, he had enough genuine viewers watching to get by. Around this time, he also began getting the attention of mainstream media, with online publications beginning to take notice. One of these would be posted on an internet news outlet called The Tab, in which the author would do a little deep dive on some of his history, including the controversy of demanding payments. They also brought up a very interesting claim, showing what the author believes.
That'd be my worst nightmare, man. Have someone analyze everything about me. I do it every day, and it's not good. I can't imagine someone else doing it.
To be an older TikTok account of Joshua's, and how around that time it had been reactivated, posting a very questionable meme.
When I find the guy from high school that used to record girls bending over and walking up the stairs.
Hello, base department. Gonna need you guys to come down here. Now, I should note that while it's interesting to ponder, it's very unlikely Josh would ever post something like this. For one, whenever he attempts to do humor, it's extremely different in comparison, and for two, there's a high likelihood he might not even be interested in that sort of stuff, at least if Reddit detectives are to be believed, referring to a screenshot of a dating app called Grindr on his home screen, as well as an interesting little clip where he suggests that he had been banned from the app. Regardless, while this article made some leaps of logic, it was arguably just one more notch in Joshua's belt, proving just how solidly he had made himself part of mainstream culture by then. Unfortunately, things went sour pretty quickly after. Around early June, sometime prior to the second Side Talk video, Josh got together with a random fan, and the two decided to do some fishing in the Hudson River. While things started off innocent enough, they quickly turned into something far more sinister, when upon successfully catching a bluegill and pulling it out of the water, Josh proceeded to throw it on the ground forcefully and stomp on it like the lead singer of Sabaton.
What the fuck? Like the lead singer Sabaton. Oh, did you know if you mention Sabaton or Slipknot or anything like that on a particular subreddit, you will be banned permanently? You want to see? You can give it a shot. It's called Metal Memes. Are metal memes. You will literally get banned for posting Sabaton. Slow, heavy metal music playing. What about, let me see. LOL, I love smoking to Sabaton. Let's do like a cringy ass let's do it. Like, is there I'm gonna do the cringy. I'll do this. I'm gonna get banned. Watch this, I'll get perma banned. Give it a second. We'll go back to this and then we'll go check.
All while bearing the happiest smile I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's fucking deranged, man.
The reason he gives in the video for being this brutal is he justifies it by saying a fish shouldn't spend time in such dirty water, ostensibly making this stomping action an act of mercy.
To be fair, man, if the fish is from the Hudson River, it ain't gonna die from being stomped on. Come on. For real? The fish will be fine.
After that, he continues to throw the fish on the ground repeatedly without saying a word, letting out a demented giggle.
Clearly it shows you how many times he had to do it, because that fish wouldn't die. It's just that fucking tough from being in the Hudson, bro. It's a rough neighborhood for fish, right? That's like, if a fish says that they're from the Hudson, that's like saying they're from Compton. You know? Am I wrong? Am I? I don't think so.
This, understandably, wouldn't go unnoticed, as the video quickly made waves around TikTok, with re-uploads of it getting upwards of 1 million views. It would also be
Let's check if I got banned already. Hold on. I learned about history more than a textbook. What I do. Damn, I'm a mod, and this action was performed on it. Please contact the moderator. Was I banned? Damn, well, I know I ain't joining that subreddit just because I listen to music where I learn about history more than a textbook. I'm a bot. That's fucking weird. Did I get banned, though? That's what I want to know. Because I know they ban you for that. I got banned for, back in the day, years ago, for talking about Slipknot. Like, so they do that. Maybe they changed it. Maybe their toxicity has gone down. But it was bad. Oh yeah, this other shit right here. This is the dumbest fucking shit. Okay, let me tell you. I know I got a wide vocabulary. I'm making an Aliens game. I'm making a game based off the movie Aliens, and I'm making it with Doom, with GZ Doom, okay? Now, I wanted to use sprites and make my own custom sprites out of ones that were already made. And I asked this question on our game dev. And the response I got was so pedantic, dude. I mean, this is Reddit in a nutshell. It's a Doom mod. Yeah, I deleted it. Yeah, so it was convert 2D sprites to update. Like, it was PS1 sprites. I wanted to add stuff to them and use them in the game. I did it myself. I did it by fucking hand. Not to be a buzzkill, but it is copyright infringement to do that. I'm not selling it. It's just a mod standalone game for fun. Yeah, that's it. That's all it is. Doesn't matter. Cool. I'll let all the Doom modders from the past 30 years know that as well. Just because people do it doesn't mean it's right. Draw your own sprite. Yeah, fuck off, dude. For a Doom mod, something that's for free? Suck my dick. Pedantic assholes, man. That's fucking Reddit. It's unreal. But yeah, that infuriated me, just that, because it's a Doom mod. It's just a mod for Doom. Who gives a shit if it's copyrighted? I'm not making a standalone game. I'm not making money off it. It's just for fun. If you guys want to see it, I'll show you. You know, there's some pretty cool stuff in there. So let me know in any comments or anything if you want me to show you that game.
Uploaded to r/public freakout, where it got quite a bit more attention, with hundreds of comments asking how a person could do such a cruel thing. Largely, they pondered what kind of mental disorder he was suffering from that would convince him this was a good idea, or, you know, make him enjoy this. Well, it's hard to track just how large the backlash against him was at the time. It was clearly bad enough to where Josh felt the need to respond to it, which he would do in a now deleted TikTok. He defended himself by saying that the fish was already dead, which in his mind made it far less serious than it previously appeared. He also complained about how it had been filmed without his permission, as the fan had not actually paid him to record.
Okay, so a lot of people are upset.
It's copyright infringement.
About a leaked video of me stomping.
A leaked video.
On a fish. First of all, the fish was already dead. The person who recorded me without my permission. They didn't pay the cameo, so they weren't even supposed to record me, but they posted it to set me up so that they would have an excuse to try and cancel me. I did not kill anything. The fish was already dead.
Given the original had been deleted, we can probably assume it was not well received by the public. The re-upload I showed was released around the same time as this whole drama was occurring, and the comment section is pretty much all disapproval, going as far as to suggest his behavior was a clear example of animal abuse, which can be a telling sign of a potential serial killer. The other more rational commenters focus on the fact that he doesn't seem to even understand why what he'd done was wrong in the first place.
Yeah. A serial killer? I don't know about that. How the fuck would that guy kill somebody?
years. The whole drama would actually make its way onto YouTube, where the clip of him stomping out a fish made some waves. While not as big as it was in other places, you had some relatively large YouTubers like Mitchell Reacts covering it. Right around the time this fish video was released, the explosive growth of Joshua's TikTok stopped altogether. Although whether this is because of the drama he was finding himself in, or simply because people had lost interest, can't be said for certain. What can be said for certain is that same month, Josh went on to achieve something quite important in his personal life. He graduated from high school. Many viewers
He was going through all this while still in high school, man. That's unhealthy. That, of course, obviously we haven't gotten even close to where all this other, I guess, where his life fell apart. No wonder it did. He was dealing with all this while in high school. My God.
Viewers made note of the fact he was almost 20 at the time of graduation, which confirms he was held back at least a year. But
Holy
despite
shit.
the minor bit of good news, Josh wasn't quite done with June.
Still
While doing
young.
a TikTok live stream in a hotel room, he was doxxed live on air as he received a call on the room's landline saying exactly where he was located at the time. Understandably, this led to a bit of a freak out on his end as he spun about the room like a chicken with his head cut off. This whole situation escalated even further when at some point Josh was kicked out of the hotel entirely after the supposed doxer had convinced the hotel staff that he'd made a bomb threat. The interaction he had with the fan.
That's fucked up, man.
He recorded the video ends up being pretty amusing, as even with a stressful situation, Josh is still committed to the hustle, accepting $50 for giving the fan a privilege to film. But that wasn't quite the end of it, as the whole fish stomping incident began to pop up again, but not in the way you might think. People began to mass flag the World of T-Shirts TikTok account, which led to a temp ban in late July. As a result, he brought the Starbucks Club channel back to life and uploaded a teary-eyed apology where he begged for his account to be unbanned, giving a more thorough explanation of the bluegill bonanza.
Okay, I'm sorry about the fish. It was a wrong thing for me to do, to stomp that fish. Please, just get me my account back. It was my livelihood and they just took it away.
This clip actually can't be found on TikTok anymore, although we can't exactly be sure why that is. If I were a betting man, then I'd bet my money on it being pretty poorly received, given he sounds less apologetic and more whiny than anything. Meanwhile, on YouTube, this situation wasn't exactly covered extensively, but I did find one pretty interesting development. The most popular video available about the subject was made by a fairly large TikToker by the name of Curly Daddy 101. He would release a video discussing the topic on a small YouTube channel, which includes the now deleted apology. In it, CD claims to be a friend of Joshua's, although he doesn't go into any real specifics regarding this. He tells us that he'd been talking to Josh about his fears of getting banned because of getting repeated violations for supposedly unknown reasons. CD even claims to have contacted TikTok regarding this to try and put Josh's mind at ease. Largely, the video's purpose is to publicly show support for Josh, as he argues the reason he was banned was entirely unjust, given the fish stomping incident was never uploaded on the World of T-Shirts account, meaning TikTok never should have taken any action against him. CD also gives an emphatic
that account never, if that's the case, if it wasn't uploaded on that account shouldn't have been banned.
Defense of Joshua's character, arguing he was clearly not all there, while gleefully stomping on the bluegill. He concludes with a lengthy diatribe, lamenting how TikTok had become a completely anti-free speech platform, where people are not allowed to express themselves in any way that's deemed even slightly offensive to the blue-haired mob. He also gives a dire warning to TikTok that if they don't loosen up on their policies,
the blue-haired mob,
people will eventually abandon the platform. As much as I wish that was true, nobody actually cares about censorship. Unfortunately, people are just going to keep using it. The video received a fairly warm reception, with most of the people in the comments coming out in support of it, as well as in support of Joshua himself. From this point on, the timeline gets a little bit confusing, not least of all because there doesn't seem to be much archived info on the subject. From what I could gather, Josh would get his account back sometime around August, at which point things went back to normal. The second channel would upload a random promo for his website, as well as a short update about how he would no longer accept any photo or video taking requests after 5 p.m. But as we get to the end of August, the fish drama flares up once again, as a TikTok of him walking gets a community guideline strike, which he attributes to a mass flagging attempt by his haters. The response was pretty mixed. While some people in the comments seemed to support him, a lot of others still held a big grudge against him for the bluegill thing, with some going as far as to encourage him being harassed as a way of justice. As he continued posting these pleas for help, it seems
all this over a fucking bluegill, by the way. I mean, yeah, what he did was fucked up, but like, these people give more shit about bluegill than they do about a lot of human life. Someone gets murdered. School shooting. Oh. Bluegill. A fish?
As more and more people turned against him, as the comment section of the later videos are completely swamped with people who outright hate the guy. This video in particular has a few comments calling him out for only responding to some random dude who asked if he could still donate. After posting another TikTok where he advertised his merchandise, he would post a quasi-conclusion to the whole saga, albeit a very, very vague one. Displayed is a screenshot taken from some sort of legal chat room, where Josh is being advised on how he could potentially sue TikTok for discrimination on the basis of his condition. It's hard to say when exactly, but at some point after this video was released, the World of T-Shirts channel was actually reinstated. There's no way to tell if these two things are connected, but it's honestly more likely that after his appeal succeeded, there simply wasn't anyone else who cared enough to flag his content again, or the systems finally kicked in and realized that he wasn't really doing anything bad on TikTok. That, or maybe, if you want to be conspiratorial, his implied legal threat actually worked, but to be honest, I doubt that TikTok is afraid of Joshua Block. Either way, he went back to doing what he knew best, recording himself walking through New York while being obnoxious. Following his success in getting his main account back, Josh would partner up with a small YouTube channel called Apex Primary to create a documentary about him, in which we found out some very interesting information. This mini doc covers quite a breadth of topics, most of which I don't really care about, from discussing how autism can...
Should we watch that? We can look that up. That's what it's called. This is My City. Apex Primary. We're gonna go back. Yeah, it was this one. Okay, we'll watch this one after we're done with Turkey Tom.
Mini doc covers quite a breadth of topics, most of which I don't really care about, from discussing how autism can affect children's development and their ability to socialize, to interviews with Josh's teachers in high school who sing praises of the young man. There are a few interesting tidbits here though. Firstly, we get a full confirmation that Josh himself is on the spectrum, and that he had gone through a restrictive curriculum throughout his early years. Not that we couldn't really tell he was on the spectrum, but now it's officially confirmed. We also learn the identity of the mysterious figure looming from the April interview. Apparently, it's actually Joshua's grandfather, who goes by the name of Vincent Lisa. Amid all of the bloviating comments about how successful Josh has been, we also find out that he's actually been an entrepreneur of sorts ever since the 10th grade, when he officially created 2 different online storefronts, including the World of T-Shirts and All Things Luxury. These were both created via a website called cafepress.com, which is...
So he's always been a hustler.
Basically like a super simple e-shop that allows you to create your own storefronts to sell your merch. To answer the question I'm sure you all have, yes, he named his TikTok account after a virtual storefront, which he actually confirms for us when he tells us he had reused the name for his TikTok account in order to further promote his t-shirt selling business. There aren't really any archives of these websites, so we can't be sure what these shops used to sell. What we can be sure of though is that nowadays they both seem like an extension of his own personalized merch store on the World of T-Shirts website, selling such worthwhile items as World of T-Shirts Portrait Design Baby Football Bodies and World of T-Shirts Portrait Design Women's Boy Briefs, as well as, and I kid you not, tens of thousands of other items. I don't even know where all these came from. When you actually scroll through these items, you'll realize most of them are pretty much the same, with the exact same designs being put on multiple different kinds of items, and the same kinds of items being sold with only mildly differing designs. It does make you wonder what the actual business model of these websites even is, given that 95% of these products probably haven't been sold even once. Interestingly, Joshua has deemed these 2 e-shops enough of a success that he lists them on his personal LinkedIn profile, where he names himself the
Chief Executive Officer.
CEO of the
cool
2
name.
respective stores since March 2017. Notably, he
It's a good
also
title.
mentions how he's been the CEO of something called Joshua's ATT Corp. This company is actually listed on the Real Yellow Pages website, where it's described as a tech support service. It also links to what seems to be the actual website of the company, which says pretty much the same thing. Now, Joshua has been listed as CEO of the company since early 2014, when he would have been only 12 years old. Given that you can't even get a work permit until you're 15, it should probably go...
This all just screams autism, absolutely.
Without saying that the listing is not accurate, to put it mildly, and it's more likely the website was run by his family, possibly his grandfather. This also puts into question how much time he actually puts into managing these storefronts. Add that to the fact he spends most of his days wandering about New York, and it's more likely he only has his name attached to the shops for feel-good points, or perhaps advertising, but there's no way he's actually running them. As the documentary goes on, we also find out a little bit more about his personal life. Among other things, we find out his mother, who was a sole guardian growing up, passed away due to ovarian cancer in 2015, when
sucks.
Josh was either 13 or 14 years old. Josh's father had attempted to take care of him, but due to his inability to do so, his grandfather opted to get full legal custody. The video ends on a positive note, with a rather hopeful outlook on what the future has in store for Joshua. The documentarian seemed to feel he was just a silly guy who wanted to enjoy life and have fun on TikTok. For the time being, Josh was doing very well. While he was nowhere near the peak he had once occupied, he was still doing fairly solid numbers, and while some people had been turned off by his fish stomping, the audience he had seemed to be unaware of this or just didn't care. As 2021 lingered on, Josh got more attention from the mainstream media, with various online publications releasing articles about him. The attention was all pretty positive, focusing on the fact that he's found so much success online despite the fact that he's autistic. After that, there wasn't really much to report on for a while, because Josh was pretty drama-free throughout 2022, doing pretty much the same exact kind of content you would expect him to make, walking around New York, recording song covers or parodies.
Oh my god, bro, come on, man. New York subway floor, you gotta lick that shit.
Having a fun time. Unfortunately, things began to change drastically when Josh turned 21. While prior to this, he had never been known to abuse substances in any way, it's at this point that a new side of him began to emerge. Josh started to drink copious amounts of alcohol. It started off as a somewhat worrying aside to him as a person, but quickly turned into a centerfold of his entire brand. Eventually, people began tuning in for no other reason than to see the kind of shenanigans Josh will get up to while hammered. Conversely, this led to Josh creating even more content in order to sate his fans' newfound desire to see him drunk, as he began to release dozens of videos where he was drinking himself silly or already very drunk and acting crazy. He would do the same on streams, where we got to see more of his raw, unfiltered self. This is all despite the fact that, at least in the beginning, he clearly wasn't very good at handling alcohol, probably because he never even had a sip of it prior.
That shit's poison, man. Stay away from that shit.
Returning 21.
What the hell is happening to me?
Small amounts, low doses.
I think I'm gonna be sick. Oh.
This stream archive in particular is quite noteworthy. Besides displaying just how inexperienced Joshua was at this point with drinking, it includes at least one interesting tidbit.
I'm sorry for everything bad I did. I'm sorry. Please, if I die, don't send me to hell. Oh, so sorry.
Autism
I'm
and
so
alcohol,
sorry
bro.
for stomping on that fish. I'm so sorry. I promise I'll never do anything like that.
This may actually be the first time he'd ever given a genuine apology for the whole fish incident. While he's obviously inebriated, it does make one wonder how he actually feels about it, or if he actually does understand how what he had done was wrong. Or perhaps it's just a drunk person, drunkenly rambling. This new habit of his would only become more uncontrollable as time went on, with every subsequent stream becoming more and more unhinged. One good example is present in this clip, where he's being aggressively encouraged to consume more drinks while in a club bathroom, as he pees on stream without even a hint of shame. However, things did not truly hit a fever pitch until Josh made a brand new friend, Michael Quinn. To give you a little introduction to Michael Quinn, he's a man somewhere between 40 to 60 years old, whose greatest genuine claim to fame is inheriting a company by the name of Feltman's Hot Dogs, which, as the name suggests, is famous for selling hot dogs. In fact, the company was so famous that it would eventually land him a TV interview on NBC. He's also a bit of a TikToker in his own right, although to call him that in earnest would be to give TikTokers a bad name. If you think that's somehow possible, with a grand total of 720 followers, and a few more across his other social media accounts. He truly was a nobody prior to meeting Josh, at least in terms of having a following. But they met at some point in late 2022, at which point he and Michael would start to make content together. Some of the early videos seemed innocent enough, including featuring on a YouTube channel called Flavors of New York. However, things quickly devolved, and while there would be some scattered collabs like this, their focus quickly changed to where the real money was. At some point, Josh would hire Michael as his personal manager, wherein he would take a percentage of Josh's personal revenue in exchange for, as far as I can tell, pretty much doing nothing, other than following Josh around and encouraging him to drink more. Michael would quickly begin appearing in Josh's videos, perhaps being even more of a nuisance than Josh himself. He would regularly enable every bad behavior Josh engaged in, egging him on to get as many views as possible, no matter the cost to his well-being or dignity. It wasn't long before Michael was absolutely reviled in the world of t-shirts community. While people on TikTok would always welcome an opportunity to make Joshua do even more dumb things, the world of t-shirts subreddit was not nearly so polite towards him, and over the next few months, he would get absolutely railed by both Reddit and YouTube, with most of the criticism centered centering around the fact that he's basically just a clout leech, trying to siphon as much fame out of Josh as he possibly can. Naturally, Mike would go out of his way to defend himself from these haters, and he did so in the best way he knew how. Poorly. He would make a number of videos on his personal TikTok account, most of which are deleted today, where he would basically make the argument that he's actually helping Josh and others whom he works with. He would also regularly make the argument that he's actually trying to moderate just how much Josh drinks, with Josh himself drunkenly telling us that he only vomits when he's drinking alone. Of course, not a whole lot of people really took that defense very seriously. Pretty much the entire following that he would get from Josh were people who hated his guts, occupying the comment sections of his TikToks. But the hate campaign didn't stop there. Entire channels would pop up whose sole purpose was to document him and his behavior. In particular, a TikTok channel called Quinning2 would start re-uploading TikToks from Michael's personal account, as well as dozens of clips from the TikTok lives, capturing the craziest moments. This account would not be the only one to accuse Michael of being an out-and-out gooner.
Man, people on the internet, am I right?
A post on the World of T-Shirts subreddit would make the same argument, highlighting an interaction from a live stream between Michael and Joshua, which sadly hadn't been archived. The post recounts how Michael was clearly trying to make Josh drink as much as possible by drinking alongside him, goading him into doing shots, in between telling Josh to defend him from the haters. The post also mentions how, for an upcoming trip to Paris, if it was okay for Michael to pay for everything and then give Joshua some extra allowance, which the commenter called sugar daddy behavior. The internet would throw a lot more accusations at Michael Quinn. On the Daniel Larson wiki, Michael has an entire article dedicated to him where he's accused of being a substance abuser who's addicted to either benzos or coke. Claims like these are mostly based on a number of, let's just say, very memorable appearances. On multiple occasions, he would go on TikTok live and look absolutely off his rocker. One of these, helpfully enshrined on Reddit, sees Michael talking to someone of very vaguely Mediterranean descent. While we don't know the full context of this clip, what it shows is very telling, as Michael lays into them with some very harsh words, including the repeated use of the N-word with the hard R, all while looking completely stoned or hammered out of his mind. Wait, is Michael Quinn actually based? This video, as well as others, quickly led to even more backlash, and it made the Reddit detectives go into overdrive trying to figure out what kind of drugs he's on. One commenter noted it's most likely benzos mixed with alcohol.
This is what happens, man, when you got too much time on your hands. Is like you do this shit. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm guilty of that. Like that's so I say when you got too much time on your hands and nothing to do and a computer, you get online. You get online white nights and shit.
I'm not a medical expert. Try to take these comments with a pinch of salt. This is Reddit after all, but it's possible, I guess. Regardless of the veracity of these claims, what matters here is that the backlash against Michael simply kept growing. And as time went on, more and more things about him would come to the limelight. People found all kinds of interesting factoids when they began to dig into his personal history, where they found that he actually used to be a substitute teacher.
Michael Quinn getting bullied as substitute teacher.
Okay? This is not gonna go on anymore. Enough!
You're a substitute teacher and screaming like that? Yeah, man, you're gonna die.
Okay, I can learn how to act!
Eventually, this backlash entered the YouTube sphere, where it extended from just mocking Michael and actually was redirected to even further attention getting on Josh. A number of videos came out discussing Josh's obvious drinking problem, mostly by small YouTubers, as there was never exactly a mainstream drive behind any of these. Still, you had small creators like Zayd Gets Laid making comprehensive critiques of the guy, sharing Joshua's rapid descent into degeneracy. This is where CD re-enters the picture. He would initially post a video on his TikTok channel where he criticized Michael for enabling Joshua's alcohol habit, making the point that he clearly had the resources to genuinely help him, but that he simply didn't care to do so.
I've been reluctant to make this video, but I'm going to. I was on this guy Michael Quinn's live stream last night when he was drinking with World of T-Shirts on a Monday. I have to say, I do take an issue with you paying for World of T-Shirts.
His voice does not match him at all, by the way. I'm just gonna say that. No offense to him, but he definitely doesn't seem like he'd be talking like that.
T-shirts as drinks when he's obviously a struggling alcoholic. This guy says he wants to help Josh, yet publicly contributes to his downward spiral into alcoholism. Okay, so you pay for his phone bill. Great, do you want a cookie? The fact is, you've probably done irreversible damage to Joshua's life. You have the ability and resources to probably get Josh some help, but I do not think you care or want to. I firmly believe that if Josh had friends his own age that were good influences on him, that he would be alright.
While it was a fairly harmless video compared to the other accusations, it seems this one got a lot more attention, as Michael himself took notice of it. In a now-deleted TikTok, he said CD was dead to Joshua, hinting at their former friendship. At the same time, another large TikToker called Ryan the Lion, who also happens to be within then Michael's cadre of friends would reply to it, effectively dismissing the accusations. This, along with some other comments, led CD to release a much more in-depth video on his YouTube channel. In this scathing critique, he admits that he wasn't really acquainted with Josh at this point. Still, he goes on to defend him, arguing that his alcoholism is entirely Michael's.
That's a good friend, man. Someone who cares about you, like, even though he's not associated with him, he's still calling out someone taking advantage of him, you know? I mean, he could be also just be taking advantage of him too in that way, but I mean, seems like he's really, you know, seems like he's got his back.
Fault. He also highlights some statements made by him where he defends what he does by saying it's all for the good of the creators he works with. He accused him of being the reason Josh had stopped talking to CD in the first place, claiming Michael to be a manipulator who was separating Josh from all of his friends to keep his control.
Yep. The big thing I have a problem with is a sign of a manipulator is separating someone from their friends, their good influences, whatever. That is what Michael Quinn is doing. He is making sure that Josh now no longer has any contact with me. He's making sure that Josh is separated from anybody that could potentially take him away from you, Michael. And that is a sign of a manipulator / abuser.
CD goes on to show a clip of Michael saying something very, very inappropriate about Daniel Larson, basically threatening physical violence against the man for some reason. This really is the fucking Spurg Avengers coming together to just go to war with each other, and this particular drama would eventually develop into something bigger. But for now, we'll keep it at that. While there admittedly isn't much new information in the CD video, it's at least worth noting that CD does genuinely seem to care about Josh.
I'm gonna get a water break. Give me a second. 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know if anyone's really watching or not either, but hey.
Joshua, which most other people frankly don't. At the very least, it seems they had been really good friends prior to Michael breaking them up. As far as I can tell, Michael never replied to this officially, apart from a few snide comments made at CD's expense. Likely, he didn't really want to bring more attention to it, given CD was probably right. Of course, this didn't stop people from continuing to hurl some very fair criticism his way, which only led to him responding more and more negatively. In the end, for all the criticism, Michael never really stopped hanging out with Josh. To this day, he continues to walk around New York with him and even travel the world with him, and all expenses paid trips to Italy, Iceland, and anywhere else you can think of. While he constantly catches more and more negative attention, it doesn't seem he's that fazed by it. Not least of all because he doesn't actually rely on TikTok as a means of getting an income, given his own pre-existing hot dog wealth. As Joshua's manager, Michael would, of course, try to contribute to the management side of things, which he did by diversifying his income streams. Of these, one suggestion would really take root. World of T-Shirts New York Tour. A brainchild of Michael and Josh's collective brain power, it would see the duo do basically the same thing they always do, while also having multiple people tag along with them, pretending to act as tour guides. On a website called Holy Prof Web, it's described as a unique and immersive experience. Exactly 5 times. The whole article seems written by AI, fluffing up the whole tour as much as possible while also padding out the word count. But other than this obvious shill review, it also has a whole website dedicated to it, as well as its own section on the World of T-Shirts primary website. The dedicated website itself looks less professional than any WordPress or anything site I've ever seen. In fact, being kind of a shitty website, it doesn't actually say that it's being run by Joshua either, instead being portrayed as a tour inspired by World of T-Shirts, whatever that is supposed to mean. It captures the essence of World of T-Shirts, the flavor profile. However, despite Josh's no doubt staggering star power, the tour was received pretty poorly. Clips would begin to pop up of people filming themselves partaking in the activity, and pretty much all of them were done in mockery of Josh and Michael.
There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
We ended up in Times Square. He danced, ran upstairs 10 times, and left.
Perhaps even more amusing than these clips, however, are the Google Maps reviews of the service. Boasting a grand score of 1.7 stars, he hasn't exactly been showered by praise, and one glance at the reviews should give you an idea why. The first review that pops up claims that Josh had showed up to the starting spot of the tour already completely hammered, and even having pissed his pants prior to showing up.
Imagine purchasing a tour and that's what happens. The tour guide shows up drunk as fuck and pissed his pants. Oh shit. Oop.
Views should give you an idea why. The first review that pops up claims that Josh had showed up to the starting spot of the tour already completely hammered, and even having pissed his pants prior to showing up, only to call the review's author an unemployed piece of shit when asked if he would get him a complimentary drink. Another review posted by an actual tour guide was equally as scornful, giving a similar recollection of events as the first one, with the addition that he actually threatened to sue some of the people there for no discernible reason. You get pretty much the same story scrolling through the rest of the reviews, with just about every positive review being some sort of troll or otherwise just not taking it very seriously. Indeed, the tour became so infamous for its shoddiness that it ended up catching some attention on YouTube and TikTok, with creators like LolCow Designs even going through the reviews for content. Oddly, if you look for reviews of it via the Google search engine, you'll probably find this little article on a website called Passion Fruit. This review gives us a very different view of Josh, although perhaps not a very different view of the tour itself. He describes, in short, the process of booking a tour, which involved receiving a waiver via Google Docs, which warned that World of T-Shirts would not be liable if the author were to be bitten by rats during the tour. Not sure why that's so specifically listed. I've personally toured New York, and I've never had any liability waiver list anything about being bitten by rats, but you never know what's going to happen with Josh. They would then set up a meeting, which Josh would show up to half an hour late for, at which point they had a very curt interview, which, as the author writes, had nothing he could actually use in his article. He then describes the tour, which involved them walking across the streets aimlessly, while the author asked Joshua questions about his life, as well as just try to really talk to him normally one-on-one. Josh would constantly give people side glances, paranoid that any single one of them could be a troll, and he rejected everyone who approached him for a photo. He justifies some of this paranoia with a story he tells the author from when he was in Texas. One day, when he came back to his hotel room, he saw that someone had broken in and defecated on his bed. At one point, Josh would pull out his phone, and as is usual for these tours, he would film a TikTok. After that, they took a metro ride on the train to Williamsburg, until they reached a bar by the name of Union Pool, where everyone was too old to recognize.
I would love to go on this tour.
as Josh. Then they walked over to another bar where the author alleges he bought Joshua a margarita as a thank you, at which point they said their goodbyes and the autist-in-chief slunk away into the shadows. The article provides an interesting view of Josh, describing him as a very earnest and kind person, highlighting just how much he differs from the idea promulgated by social media. From clips of him behaving like a total nitwit to the thousands of hate videos made about him. Largely, the author seems satisfied, albeit he never spoke to the tour's quality. Overall, this was the most positive reception the tour ever got, and it's only positive because it entirely ignores the fact that there was even a, tour in the first place. Despite this, the project is still ongoing, with most of the tours getting a dedicated TikTok in lieu of Joshua's ceaseless hustling, all while being constantly babysat by a man twice his age, who is not his father or relative in any way. Speaking of Michael, as I've alluded to earlier, he would get Josh into a rather strange bit of beef with Daniel Larson, another channel favorite here. While it's hard to say exactly where it started, it seems that fans of the two respective creators were really pushing them to have a fight.
Well, I just had a power surge. So I'm going to go ahead and end this stream, guys.